Good evening and welcome to the State Road A1A 17th Street over the Mercedes River Bridge project, virtual public meeting. Before we get started, if there are any elected officials who's joined the meeting, I invite you to introduce yourself by raising your hand to speak and I will unmute you. It doesn't appear that we have any elected officials on right now, so I will go ahead and get started with the presentation. Slide 2, meeting format. My name is Jennifer Laxner and I will be the moderator this evening. Before we start the presentation, I will share a few items regarding this meeting's format. A brief presentation followed by a question and answer session will be held from 5 to 5:30 and again from 5:30 to 6 p.m. Please note, any questions or comments may be submitted via online chat for the project team to address directly. Slide 3, non-discrimination policy. At this point, I will read the FDOT non-discrimination policy. The Florida Department of Transportation complies with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For questions or concerns, you may contact either Sharon Singhayan at 954-777-4190 or Sharon.Singhayan at dot.state.fl.us or Jacqueline Paramore at 850-414-4753 or Jacqueline.Paramore at dot.state.fl.us. Slide 4, rules of engagement. Before the presentation starts, I will briefly go over the rules of engagement that were established for this virtual public meeting. This virtual public meeting is being recorded. All attendees will remain muted throughout the meeting. Attendees are also welcome to submit any questions or comments using the platform's control panel at any time. A member of the team will respond during the question and answer portion. Slide 5, participating on GoToWebinar. We are using the GoToWebinar meeting platform for this meeting. There is no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in the meeting. Questions and comments can be entered into the chat feature for the team to address directly. To speak, please click the hand icon during the question and answer session. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the FDOT District 4 website. Slide 6. If you prefer to listen by phone, select telephone in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information displayed. Dial-in attendees are in listen-only mode. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar support at 833-851-8340. Slide 7, project team. At this moment, I will introduce the project team. Eric Namadi is the FDOT construction manager. Tapesh Thukram is the FDOT project administrator. Tuck Lead is the FDOT design project manager, and Mohit Soni is the engineer of record. Slide 8, project presentation. Please enjoy this project video, which includes information on the improvements to be completed along with lane closure information. We will start the question and answer session after the video.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Namadi. I am the FDOT Construction Project Manager for this project. Slide 9, project location. The State Road A1A 17th Street Bridge, also referenced as bridge number 860035, is located along State Road A1A 17th Street over the Mercedes River in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Slide 10, project overview. The purpose of this project is to perform corrosion prevention measures for the bridge components. The length of the project is 0.013 miles. The contractor is Southern Road and Bridge LLC. Construction is scheduled to begin on Friday, May 20th, 2022, and is anticipated to be completed late 2022. The estimated construction cost is $1.5 million and the contract time is 182 days. Slide 11, project improvements. Project improvements include removing and replacing the existing pile cap protection system for 44 pile foundations. The yellow rectangle in the photo on this slide references what an existing pile jacket looks like.
Good evening, my name is Tapesh Sukram, and I am the FDOT Project Administrator. I will be presenting slides 12 through 14. Slide 12, typical section. The typical section shown depicts the components of the bridge, identifying the work being done at various locations. As you can see, we'll be repairing the spalls on selected beams and on intermediate bend caps. We'll also be removing the existing jackets and all damaged concrete. The new system will extend the life of the piles by reducing the corrosion of the steel reinforcement bars over time. Slide number 13, maintenance of traffic. Public safety is our top priority. Advanced warning and project signage will be placed throughout the construction corridor. Lighted message boards will be located at the project limits. We will be coordinating with local agencies, businesses, and residents to ensure access at all times. This includes the Broward County Traffic Engineering Division, the City of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County Traffic, first responders, Broward County Schools, and the United States Coast Guard and local communities. Slide 14, traffic impacts. Lane closures may occur from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday and will be limited to one direction of traffic at all times. Access to residences and businesses will be maintained at all times. Pedestrian detours will be in place during sidewalk closures. Limited access for marine traffic will be maintained at all times.
Slide 15, community outreach. The community outreach specialist will distribute project update flyers and emails as needed. Traffic impacts will be included in the district communication manager's weekly traffic impact press release. All project updates will also be posted to the District 4 website. Please scan the QR code to go to the District 4 website. Lastly, the project team will meet with city and county officials, community groups, and property owners regarding project updates as needed. Slide 16, question and answer. At this moment, we will go ahead and start with the question and answer portion. To provide a comment, please submit questions and comments using the GoToWebinar question panel. If you would like to speak, please select the hand raised icon and I will unmute you. All right, it looks like we have a few questions coming in. So the first question we have is, will my boat be able to pass through the channel during construction? Eric or Tapesh, would you like to take that answer?
Tapesh, would you like to take it?
I'll take that question. Limited access, approximately half the channel's width, will be maintained at all times. However, while the contractor is not actively working, more of the channel will be available, with the exception of the areas where the turbidity tie-offs are located. I think I was unmuted with that answer.
All right, for the second question we have, when will the contractor be working and how noisy will it be during the day?
Okay, the contractor will be working primarily Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And noise level should be kept to a minimum since we are allowed to work on many piles at a time.
All right, we have a question from Mr. Mouse. Why did you not consider raising the bridge? The bridge on South Ocean Boulevard is being raised higher than 17th Street Bridge, and with rising tide, it is being difficult for boats in the neighborhood to get under the 17th Street Bridge. Would anybody from the team like to answer that?
Yeah, I can I can take on that. So basically, this bridge is right now in a very good condition, and this is only repair and rehabilitation project. The program is funded for the superstructure. There is no work being proposed, so it is in fair condition, as well as substructure, the only work that is being proposed is cathodic protection CP jacket as identified in the video. So at this time, the bridge condition is such that it does not need to be replaced.
All right, thank you, Moki. We have another question coming in. Why is this project being done?
I can take that on. So right now, the environmental condition over there is extremely aggressive, which is high chloride content. Typically, the bridges in the high chloride content with water flowing tends to corrode the concrete as well as rebar steel. The project that is being proposed is cathodic protection. What it does basically is it eliminates the corrosion, and we are providing bulk anode. So bulk anode actually sacrifices themselves in lieu of the steel, which is basically a protective measure for the bridge corrosion. In addition to that, there are small repairs being proposed. Wherever there were minor cracks, the contractor will come in and basically do the small repair to patch up the cracked portion of the concrete. Thank you.
We have another question from Mr. Mouse. He said, please elaborate on whether the channel will be open during construction. I did not understand your comments to the previous question.
I'll take that. So we'll have to install what they call floating yellow turbidity barrier. You may see that in waterways when other activities are going on. And when the contractor is working on the piles that are immediately at the navigable channel portion of this bridge, the yellow turbidity barrier or the contractor's equipment may reduce the width of the actual channel while they are working. We don't expect the channel to be unavailable when the contractor is not working. In the event that conditions do change, we can certainly notify the public through our channels or add them to our mailing list if you would like, to make sure you're up to the date with the latest and greatest information.
And if you'd like to be added to the mailing list, the next slide will have my contact information. Just please email me and I'll add you to the mailing list.
I'd also just want to add one more thing to that. In the event that certain access is required, the residents can certainly coordinate with us with advance notice, maybe 48 hours or more, to see if there are going to be any expected impacts on a scheduled time that they plan to use the channel.
We have a question from a Mr. Stevens. What is the estimated date of completion for this project?
I can take that. The estimated date for the completion of this project is November 17, 2022.
And we have two follow-up questions from Mr. Mouse. So while they are working on the pilings, the channel will be closed.
We don't expect the channel to be closed. Again, once the contractor is mobilized with their equipment, we can better reassess that. But the expectation in our contract documents is that the channel is maintained accessible to a certain capacity. And what we're estimating at this time right now is half of the channel width will be available.
Okay, and he also wants to know who is the point person and telephone number for us to contact regarding passage through the channel.
On our next slide, we will have myself, Eric's contact information, Tapesh's, and Jennifer's. All three of us are your best and most quick point of contact for those type of requests.
We'll also include it in the chat answer.
Yes. Thank you, Jennifer.
We have another question. What activities can I expect during the first 2 weeks of construction?
I can take that, Jennifer. Thank you. During the first 2 weeks of construction, the contractor will primarily be mobilizing equipment on site, and construction will be done through a barge where most of the equipment will be stored. So I hope that's the answer.
Okay. One more question. Are you closing any lanes?
Lanes will be, we'll keep lane closures to a minimum. Lane closures will only be utilized when we have to bring material or additional equipment to the site. And in that case, we'll be using mostly one lane at a time.
Just to add to that, it would be the outside lane of A1A in either direction. So detours will be in place for the pedestrians as well.
We have another question from Mr. Mouse. When you say only half of the channel will be available, Is that half of the main channel? Because as it is now, 2 boats cannot pass through there at the same time. So the channel will only be available to 1 small boat to pass through.
Yes, we are referring to the center or the main channel of the bridge.
And we have a question from Mr. Branston. How long would you expect the bridge to last if you do no repair work?
I can take that on. So basically right now we are designing the bulk anodes for another 30 years. So the design life of our anodes is going to provide the service life of about 30 years.
There's a follow-up question from Mr. Branston. What would a new bridge several feet higher cost?
So I can take that on. Basically, that is beyond the scope of what we are doing here. In order for us to put a new bridge, there are a lot of parameters that DOT has to go through, including the project development and environmental studies, feasibility studies, and then coordinate with the Coast Guard as well as other agencies, permitting agencies. That will dictate a lot of the terms and conditions, and a lot of it will determine the cost of the bridge. So at this time, none of that has been done. Thank you.
We have another follow-up question for design from Mr. Branston. Did you consider doing nothing now and putting the repair money towards a new bridge?
Right now, I can take that on, sorry. Right now, the condition of the bridge basically is such that if we don't do anything now, it will continue to take the beating from the corrosion. And in order to stop the corrosion, this repair project needs to go through in order for us to do whatever we do in the future. Thank you.
All right, I'll give a few more minutes for some more questions to come through, and then we'll move on with the presentation. I do see some hand raised from Mr. Mouse and at Branston. I'll unmute you, Mr. Mouse, first.
Excellent. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thank you. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse. I just know that that main channel is pretty narrow, and if you close off half of it, I don't know what size boat's going to be able to get through there. It's only going to be a very small boat, and that's going to restrict. That's going to lock everyone's boats in the neighborhood back here. So I understand you got to redo the bridge, but there's got to be really active communication from the contractor and FDOT to everyone back here. So if somebody's planning on using their boat over the weekend, we can get it out, because a lot of people back here are not going to be able to get their boat out, even if you leave half of that channel open.
Yeah, this is Eric. We understand that concern, and we'll work with the community to ensure that if there's any special requests for boat access, we want to make sure that you guys do have access to use the channel. Obviously, the contractor most likely, and again, let's be reminded that we have 44 pile jackets here, and there's only, do we know how many are in the middle bit? Is it 10 each or 20?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
About 50% or less of the work is actually on the navigable portion of the channel itself. The rest of it will be on other bents of the bridge with this cathodic protection. So we also don't expect the duration to impact the channel for the entire duration of the project. And we're more than glad to take everyone's contact information such that we can, as best as possible, reduce any impedance to the community with their boats.
Yes,
Okay.
if you register, I do have your email. You can also submit it in the questions, just so you make sure that we have it. And I can provide any updates if they do have it during construction. And like we said, on the next slide will be all our contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us during construction if you do have any concerns with access.
Okay, with regard to the slide, can I give you my email and you can email me that slide with the contact information, or are we going to be required to copy it all down?
So in the handout section on the control panel, the presentation is already loaded there for download. And I can also follow up and email it to you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
And it looks like Mr. Isbranston, you lowered your hand, so I'm assuming we answered all your questions.
You cannot mute him. So, yeah, he still has.
All right, with that, we'll conclude the question and answer portion. We'll move on with the presentation. So slide 17, contact information. If you have any additional questions, please contact the project team. Eric Namati, the project manager, can be reached at eric.namati@dot.state.fl.us or at 954-299-6441. Tapesh Sukram is the project administrator, and he can be reached at tapesh.sukram@dot.state.fl.us or at 954-940-7619. And I can be reached at jennifer@valeran-group.com or at 954-482-4190. Slide 18, on behalf of the Florida Department of Transportation and our presenters, thank you for joining us today for the State Road A1A 17th Street over the Mercedes River Bridge project. This concludes the first portion of our virtual public meeting. We will start the second portion at 5:30.